Okay, this is Mongoose Jake here. I'm inside my new garage. If you've noticed, I haven't made too many videos here in recent times. I've been quite busy. And also one of the changes was move to a nice large duplex out of the apartment into this duplex here, and I gained a garage. And what I have before you is the frame to the very first bike, mountain bike that is, I ever bought. This was bought for me by my parents basically when I was a teenager. This was back in '98, and at the time I would have been, it would make me 12, going on 13 at the time. And that summer in between school years, I did some work, odd jobs, and as a reward, my parents bought me my first mountain bike. At the time, I still had just a little Trek BMX bike, and yes, at one time I did ride Trek, and I still had the Trek BMX bike, but this was my very first mountain bike. It was a $100 mountain bike, and what you see is an all-steel frame. This is the Mongoose DXR. They put MGX on it at the time. I have some pictures I'll post up in somewhere here in the video. I'll put them in there to let you see what the bike looked like, because I hadn't rode the bike in probably 2.5 years or so, and it had parts stripped off of it to go to a neighbor who had some bike issues, and I took some parts off of it because he didn't really have the money to pay for, you know, replacing. One thing was a wheel, a free wheel, a shifter, you know, just bits and pieces were missing off of it. But it's kind of got a little special place to me. It's what got me hooked on biking. Yes, it was a heck of a beast. It weighed well over 40 pounds because of that all steel frame, cheap components. But it is what got me hooked on mountain biking, and Mongoose in particular, because as any cheap bike, it did have issues. And at the time, I can't complain about Pacific Cycles or Mongoose's customer service, because at the time it was no questions asked. They sent over as many parts as I ever needed. And as you can see, this 15-year-old bike is actually still all, the frame is in good shape, but I did strip it down to the bare frame. I even took the pivot out, and I am having a brass bushing set to replace the old composites, because of course the old composite bushing, 15 years old, is going to be pretty shot. And I will do a complete build. I have some parts I'm going to use off of some other bikes. You know, they're like new takeoff parts off of some of my other bikes that you've seen in videos. Plus then I will also try to keep it as an economical build. And this is just going to be kind of like a rough idea for anybody out there who has, you know, a cheaper bike. I'll use some parts that you can use, because for instance this bike has the 1-inch headset, came with the normal 1-inch threaded fork, and I'm going to do a little focus on that because I'm going to convert that up, and by that I mean it will be swapped to a 1-inch threadless, because both RST and Suntour still make some forks for 1-inch threadless. But this is just to give you an idea of what I'm starting with. I will make a video at the end to show the finished product and what I've done to it. So stay tuned.